Oh, here he goes.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Is it playing?
Hi, everyone.
Well, wait, I don't think it's this. I can't get the video to play. Hang on, let's see if this one plays. No, did you see it play?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start it because I can't see it. You're going to have to cue me.
It's Kringle Time. Sit back and relax as we dive into a world of laughter and learning with the Kringle brothers. Reminding us that we are better together.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. I'm very sorry. I had technical difficulties. My wife would say, "How? That's a brain fart."
Did you get it fixed?
I think I got it fixed. I finally I could see the video. I hit the button and nothing happened, and then I realized I wasn't on the main outlet, and then I don't know what. But it's. I think it's working. Can everybody see us?
I see you, and every CZ. We got Santa Dave Denby with us, and Jeff Oulette, Bruce Norris,
and Charlie and Gary.
Kevin Bernhardt's with us, Santa Doug. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and Bruce, yay.
We have so many people joining us today. Now all of a sudden I can't move my thing up and down.
All right. Hopefully we'll get through this.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Are you good?
Yeah, we're just having a fun. Yeah, we're just having a fun.
I know that. How are things going? I know you've had a hectic week.
Yeah, I got some personal stuff going on right now with my family, but you know what? We're dealing with it. I have a good support team. I have good people around me. I have my brother with me. That's always a good thing to do. So, and I know the wonderful Santa community, all our brothers and sisters in red. I know everybody's thinking, and thank you so much for all the thoughts, all the prayers, and everything else. How was your Easter, my friend?
Oh, Easter was wonderful. I got to, it was kind of fun. I had Easter breakfast in the morning instead of doing a lunch we did with my daughter and my son-in-law. We went to their house, and then they asked us to go to church with them on Easter, which I've never been there, which is fun, so, it's like
recognized.
I was recognized both as Santa and as me. It was really fun. All of a sudden, this young lady, wonderful young lady, walked up to me. She goes, "Mr. Howe?" Yes. She goes, "I don't know if you remember me, but I'm da-da-da-da, right? I was in your 7th grade middle school class." Oh, many, many years ago, needless to say. And she introduced me to her husband, which I had as a student too. So it was like a little 20-year kind of reunion kind of thing, and seeing their kids now in middle school, and so that was really fun to have that happen to me, and of course there was a few Santa moments. Is Santa here? The kids walking by looking, "Santa, hello, how are you?"
Me a little side eye going, "Are you or aren't you?"
Yeah, you got a few. You always get those looks, but I was.
I also,
when you talk about family, I got to tell you this story. This is you're
Okay.
gonna love this. Now I have a sister. I'm the baby of the family. There's three of us, an older brother and an older sister. And my sister, she just loves that I'm Santa. In fact, she calls herself Sister Claus. All right. So I've gone to her church and have done story time and stuff, right? And so she tells all of her little Sunday school kids, I'm Sister Claus. Well, your last name's not Claus. Well, no, I'm married to Tom. I took his last name. So she's got all those kids believing she's Sister Claus. All of that to say, she's a great supporter for what I do as Santa. So my sister goes, I finally got a chance to go look at your podcast with Herbie, right? Did you like it? She goes, well, it was wonderful. I absolutely enjoyed watching it, except for I kept saying hello, it's Sister Claus, and you never would respond like you do to other run. Like you'll say hi to Charlie and Keith and Boris and all of those guys, but you never say hi to me. And I went, well, when are you watching it? She goes, well, on Friday when I'm done with work. And I went, well, Kim, I go, it's not live. All of those guys that we're saying hi to, they're live. They're responding live. She goes, oh, that might be a problem.
And that's why we love you, Sister Claus. Just remember, we always love the ones we always have to.
Shout out to Sister Claus. There you are.
Hi, Sister Claus. But you know what? We have AJ with us, and Boris, and Santa Kevin, and Chris Skillings, and oh my goodness. Well, you know, speaking of Easter, I also know you had a number of gigs as the Easter Bunny. How did that go for you?
Oh, we talked about those last time. That was really good.
Good. I mean, I had one on Friday, and I mean not Friday, Sunday, and it was quite interesting. I do need to get some help with trying to keep cooler though.
Now, you know what? That suit that you got is from Boris. Boris's connection.
I know, Boris. That's an amazing suit.
Boris,
Thank you.
we need some advice on keeping cool in that bunny suit. And so we should talk to him and find out what he does.
Yeah, we can
Boris
always maybe arrange.
Exhausted.
I know. Well, Boris, I saw what you were wearing too during the course of the Easter season. I'm sure you're still recovering. But you know what? We're not here just to chit chat and talk about Easter and all the other fun things. But I do love Sister
Stories.
But you know, that's exactly what we were just doing.
Yeah, we were.
We were telling stories.
We were like
just having fun. Exactly. And this is the important part because you know what? Michael and I have taught this. And I'm trying to look at my notes and everything going here too. But you know what? One of the best things about being a story is if you're putting on the suit for the very first time, or you're portraying Jingle Bell, the elf, or Mrs. Claus, being able to tell a story is so wonderful because you know what? It'll help calm a child in line. It may even bring a small tear to a grandparent, or you may just capture the imagination of a child. Yeah. But best of all, telling a story is a gift that you can keep giving year after year. Now, I know you're a very good storyteller, Michael. What are some of the things that, you know, when we talk about stories that you just find amazing, that it just really changed your whole dynamic?
Oh, changed my whole dynamic. Oh my gosh. It's being a storyteller, I'm going to say is being a lifelong learner. I would definitely throw that out. I want to, because tonight I'd like to encourage people to practice that skill, and the best way to practice is do it. It's the same way as reading. My wife has her master's degree in teaching ESL, English as a second language, and she works with a lot of kids with disability and then teaching them to read and then breaking things down. I mean, my wife is so smart. You know, I mean, I'm pretty blessed just to be associated with her, right? She's so smart. But all of that is the best way to learn to be a good reader is to read. Yeah. You know, and so it's the same kind of the issue. You just keep practicing it, you keep doing it. So being a good storyteller, you just keep telling stories, you know, and then there's points. And so I want to encourage people to do more. So let me ask this question, then I'll come back and try to answer that a little bit better for you. You know, why is storytelling important for you?
Well, I think it for me.
Because you're a good
Like I
storyteller
said,
also.
well, I appreciate that. I mean, I just try, but I guess for me is to tell a good story or to tell a story really speaks directly to the heart. You're making yourself vulnerable. You're entertaining, whether you're teaching, trying to inspire or connect, or just to simply entertain, because most of the stories that we both tell are more or less on the funny side. They have an element of instruction, of teaching to inspire,
Yeah.
but at the same time too is we always find a comedic twist to every story we tell.
Well, and that comes,
And
I think, naturally for us. You know what I mean?
oh
Because
yeah,
we're laughing always. But yeah. So
but one of my
go ahead, keep going.
but one of my favorite authors, Margaret Reed McDonald, basically says that storytelling is a natural human activity. And if you can talk, you can tell a story. Now, for those who've actually met us in person, you can say one thing: Michael and I do love to talk, and I just don't know when to stop.
Yeah. No, I've waited in the car a few times for you.
Oh yes. But when we get going in rare form, it's a wonderful, like again, going back to the family reunion. And it wasn't even just storytelling, it was the band was playing, and next thing you know is we're changing Motown songs
Oh my
and
gosh,
just
that was so much
enjoying
fun.
ourselves.
Was it Steffi? Wasn't it Steffi that kind of instigated that a little bit?
No, that was I believe Ken Kringle, who came up and basically because they were playing My Guy, and we changed it to
To
Michael because
Michael.
we all had like three or
Michael,
four Michaels with us.
Michael,
So,
Michael, talking
but
about Michael. Yeah,
Michael, anyway, but I think the lot of issues, and not really issues is not the right word, is, but when you sit there, Michael, and you think, what do you think is one of the biggest hurdles that people just don't want to tell stories?
I think that I think sometimes when people think about stories is they've got to do it correct. In other
Right.
words, I'll throw this out. I'll throw out here's one of my favorite books, The Art of Storytelling by John Walsh. This is an introduction. This isn't
Mhm.
anything in depth. It's for the fearful and want to get started read, right? A lot of good simple instructions, down to earth. I mean, I love John Walsh. So I think people are afraid to tell the story wrong, or they have to tell it exactly the way they heard it. So in other words, a lot of the stories that we tell, we got from our Santaology class with Stephen Gillum.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Stephen is, in my opinion, one of the at least personal storytellers that I know. Stephen Gillum's number one. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody else who can grab my attention like he can and keep it. So this ADHD guy will sit there and focus, you know what I mean, with him. But I think I tell Steve stories, but I tell them as me. In other words, they're not exactly word for word, word for word, word for word, word for word,
Word. Okay,
right?
stop, rewind, and repeat.
A
There
little,
you
a
go.
little agua. Yes, see me agua. Yes.
No,
So I think people are worried that you have to at times, and there's nothing that's black and white this is 100%. But I feel like people feel sometimes that, I've got to know the story exact, and I'm going to make a mistake. And you can't. You have to take something and make it your own, you know. And
well, you know what? And as you mentioned, John Walsh's book here is one of the other books that I've actually been reading. Is I know it's backwards but the Storyteller Startup Book by Margaret Reed McDonald,
yes,
and it's a very good book. It's a startup, but her and John both say the same thing here. Is according to McDonald here, not old McDonald. Please don't say old McDonald. But anyway, she puts it very plainly that storytelling isn't about memorizing the lines. It's all about connecting.
yeah,
And even in the section of the book, The Art of Storytelling by John Walsh, is by encouraging us to tell stories from the heart and not from a script. Whether you're shy or outgoing, silly or serious, there's a story style that fits you. And again, I think to sum up both of those statements is you don't need to be perfect. I just saw up here, Boris says, I'm afraid because I'm really prone to losing my train of thought. Well, Boris, this is the thing. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present.
Yeah.
And when you think of it like that, if you understand the story that you want to tell, and it doesn't have to be verbatim, if you know your beginning, if you know your middle, and you know how to end it,
Yeah. How you're going to get
all
in,
the stuff,
how you're going to get out,
how,
and then whatever in the middle happens.
and then Charlie's actually putting links to both of these books inside the
Oh,
chat. So
thank
anyone
you,
who wants
Charlie.
to,
The Kringle
Charlie's kind
brother
of like the,
driver.
I would like to refer to Charlie as the assistant producer to the Kringle Time show here. When he
Right.
can join us. I know it's summertime and he'll be going music festival here soon. But again, your unique voice is enough. You just need to use it. Now, the next question I have for you, Michael, as we're
Yeah.
just talking about storytelling, is because you mentioned, yes, a lot of our stories come from Stephen Gillum and Santaology. And the next question I want to talk about is where do you find your stories? Now, I know it's Steve's stories, majority of them, if not all, are actually created by him.
Yep.
He usually gets inspiration from, say, a concept that he comes up with. Then he kind of builds the story. Then he builds a prop to emphasize the story.
Well, and I think he's gotten some stuff from Barry. Who's the magic? The
Barry Mitchell.
Barry Mitchell. I think
Yes, Barry
Barry
Mitchell.
Mitchell was I think, and then Steve's adapted some of his. I don't know exactly. But I will give that Barry Mitchell is a phenomenal children's entertainer. You know.
Well, one of the main stories Steve got from Barry was the Mother of All Diamonds.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And it's a beautiful story. But also at the same time, too, is where Steve actually creates original stories or actually morphs existing stories to fit his style. We also have Santa True, who is a remarkable storyteller, but more of a traditional aspect, dealing with more folklore and specific. I mean, he's probably one of the foremost people talking about fairies and elves because of the Celtic mythos that he actually usually teaches in or tells the stories in.
Right.
So, by where do we? Okay, so the question I had for you, Michael, was what do you look for in choosing the right story?
I think if it's something that touches my heart. So in other words, like when I'm telling the Mother of All Diamonds, which is the school, I don't know if you know that. So you remember that it starts out with, it's that first day of school. Oh, so exciting, and all the children were coming. It's a one school room house, right? I mean, all the kids, first grade, second grade, third, fourth, all the way up to eighth grade, they were all in the same room and they had the same teacher. And her name was Mrs. Fullwood. Oh, the most loving, caring teacher you ever did see or ever would know. In other words, I draw that. In other words, heartwarming if it means to me, but I'll put characters in that mean something. So Fullwood's my wife's maiden name. So I called my teacher in that story, Mrs. Fullwood. So I literally can look at it. She's the most loving, caring teacher in the whole wide world. And I literally can let that be on my face because that's exactly what my wife is. So even though I'm not using that name, I'm making the association. So things that pull at my heart, characters that are in it, and then if I hear a story and going, oh, I need to tell that. I need to share that. In other words, when my sister told me her story about, messing it all up listening on Friday and how come her baby brother wasn't giving the shout out to her, right? I go, oh, I need to share that story. I need to tell you about that, so those things that pull at my heart, because I love as Santa, I love trying to make sure that all my stories are character and value education. I want to make sure that I'm speaking to character and their values and how they should act and how they should please and thank you. And I try to reinforce. So all of my stories, I try to make sure that pull at my heart have that value in them, some type of value.
Well, that was one of the remarkable things when you take the Santaology class with Steve and Deb Gillum, where his reindeer stories, and I'm not just talking Rudolph, but I'm talking the other 8 reindeer.
Like
Each one
Dasher.
has, yeah, each one has a virtue, and those virtues are what the highlight is, which again goes into further along saying, you know what, each story that you tell should actually have some type of moral, some type of truth in there. Not all of them. Now, mind you, I tell stories about the magical snowflake, or I tell my story of Huzzle and Wuzzle. There's no learning involved except don't do dumb things because it will come back and bite you.
Right. And and I guess I'll throw this out as we're talking, because I realize we're not going to go in a linear fashion tonight, kind of thing,
We
right?
never are.
Well, I try. That, yeah, go ahead. I
You lost your train of thought there, buddy?
no, I remember when I asked this, but it's like, oh yeah, I need to share that. But
Well, just go ahead and
great
share it
part.
now.
No.
Go ahead.
I've got to reprocess it again. I
All
want
right.
to, because if I'm going to say it, I
Well,
want to make sure that I say it at least a little bit. I'll do this. If I make a mistake in my story, and Boris, like Boris made the comment, I'm going, wait a second. Let's say I'm telling this great story about Dasher. But I'm really I'm saying I'm talking about Dasher, but let's say I'm really talking about Vixen. And all of a sudden I go in, I'll even look at the kids and went, wait a second, that's not Dasher. Oh, that's Vixen. Oh, and then I'll make an excuse. Oh, Santa has a list. I can't believe I was telling you that and messing that all up. Have your parents ever messed up a story? And so I just used it to my advantage.
well,
And of
and
course
again,
they all laugh and they giggle and stuff.
right.
And I'm thinking, I'll never do that again. But it was just one of those, yeah, I made a mistake, but then I just used it as part of the story, apologized, and then, oh, wait a second, I'm talking about Vixen. I can't believe I'm doing this,
Well, it's not even, I mean, that's one way to handle it, and that's one way to show it. And that's where your improvisational skills can come into play here. But even like what you just did, and even like to Boris's comment that he says, that's what I'm afraid of is even as ourselves, as Michael slash Herbie, Bill, Boris, Cindy, all you that are out there, is we all make mistakes. We all get flustered when we try to tell a story because, one, if you're anything like I am, I'm just so excited to be talking that I actually am thinking 5 steps ahead. And I have to remember one key thing when we do tell stories. And that is what, Michael?
I'm not sure what you want me to say. So
The pause.
the pause, that's right.
The
That means
pause.
the dramatic pause. You can drive a semi through it. I demonstrated that really well for you, didn't
Exactly. So to kind of sum up what we've actually discussed so far here before we go into our first commercial break, can you believe it's already been 20 minutes?
I? Yeah.
But
Wow.
storytelling can be looked at as a gift that can keep on giving year after year and can basically help you warm up to your clients. Choosing you don't want to memorize your stories. You want to actually learn your stories. If to a point where if I were to ask you what you had for breakfast this morning, or what you have for dinner, if you had dinner, because some people it could not even be dinner time yet. It could only be almost dinner time. But the point is to be able to speak it as if it was just as natural as you're just reciting what you had for dinner. And then finally, choosing the right story, as Michael pointed out, you have to find the one that's right for you, are appropriate for your audiences, which is important because if you memorize your stories, you won't be able to deviate or change it up to match your audience's attention or age group to make it appropriate. You also want to actually choose a story that supports the values of the season and, again, are simple enough to remember and have fun enough to enjoy. So with that, Michael, why don't we go ahead and run our first commercial, and then we can come back in and we can talk about, what are some of the best ways to learn how to tell a story.
All right. I'm having problems. You may have to hit that button. I mean, what's the deal with my? Is it on?
All right, and there we go. We're back again. Just to let you know, too, Michael, is when you do a video, for whatever reason you're having technical difficulties, your mic's not muting.
Oh,
No. Just be on the safe side in case you hot mic it on me. I don't want to go from there. So
thank you. Or if I get yelled at. All right, let's run the next one and see if I do better. Here we go.
All right.
Are you going crazy managing clients, contracts, and invoices? Kringle Tracker is here to help you. Stay organized with ease. Keep your sanity in check with Kringle Tracker's intuitive tools to effectively manage your schedule and clients. Our seamless, customizable contract system allows you to tailor your contracts to you and your client's needs. Prepare for tax time like a pro by tracking your income and expenses and generate reports to make it a breeze. Transform your claws business by signing up for a free 20-day trial. Kringle Tracker was created by a claws for the claws community so you can focus on making magical memories for your clients. Head over to kringletracker.com and sign up for your free trial today.
Perfect. See, you got it under control now. You know what's funny is I just noticed
you have to give me a thumbs up because I don't know why it's not showing on my end, but if it's working,
that's okay.
then that's what's important.
Mike Connor has said that the commercials are on. Boris is having tamales and menudo.
He owes me that.
And
I keep teasing him about having it. All right.
But you know, one of the funny thing is with the Kringle Tracker commercial, I just never noticed the cup of marshmallows. So, but anyway, as we're moving forward here is.
So do you have a favorite story that you like when you're telling a story with a child? Do you have a favorite, like, oh, this happened during a story time?
Well, I always try to mix it up, especially if I like working at Great Wolf Lodge. I don't like telling the same stories over and over and over again. I mean, there are a few that have become mainstays in the show itself. The Red Fairy Dust and how Rudolph got his red nose.
Yeah, and I do Charlie's way.
Yes, I do a Charlie bit with the sound effects for that one there too. I try to switch up and only speak about 2 reindeer a year. Like the first year, I believe it was Blitzen and Dasher. And then I also then tell this past year was Cupid and Donner. And so I try to always mix it all up. So basically, I always keep it fresh going this way. But I talk about the Red Fairy Dust, and then 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And then, of course, the Magical Snowflake as my closer, because they like using that to make it snow in the lobby of the hotel.
Right.
But whenever I get into a pinch or things are moving well or slow, I use the Christmas Spider. I think is a very wonderful story. And every time I tell it, it changes. I enjoy basically talking about, when you start using Jinx and Orville and Gordon, that just opens up a whole can of story times and everything else like that as well too. I've told the Mother of All Diamonds. This year, I'm going to use the 3 Clay Pot story. I think that'll be a wonderful addition. I think it's going to be a good timing for it. But what I'm starting to do now is include the children in my storytelling.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that's important. One of the things that you taught me is depending upon the age of a child, that they only have an attention span that's very minuscule. But so you have to get them up to go ahead and get them active. When I do the magic coloring book, that story always changes to whatever whim I'm looking for. But I encourage the participation with throwing the colors. I even invited a child to come up and draw the pictures on the cover of the book. And then this way you have that audience participation that allows them to basically take a little bit more interest in what's going on.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, story wise, I love like when I do the mother of all diamonds and I'm taking prop and I pour the diamonds out, which they think it's coal, and the diamonds come out, and I love getting that gasp.
Oh yeah.
You know, if anything that I do is a jump tail, or if I any like, you know, and get them to jump or laugh, you know, I mean, I love that response, you know. I mean, funny wise, I forgot exactly what I was doing, but I had one of the thumb lights. I was using bowling, like, you know, we use thumb lights. A lot of salmons use thumb lights, right? And so I had it down in my pocket, and then I'm sliding it to put it into my gig bag that I have with all my props in it, right? And it hit the edge, and it rolled out and went rolling down towards this little girl. She's 12, I think. She looked at it, she picked it up, she walked up to me and she goes, "Santa, I think your thumb fell off." So it's one of those. Now I'll tell you this, telling you that story, things that you can work on. You notice that I did a pause right before I said, "Santa, I think your thumb fell off." And so learning some of that poise and stuff into the stories, you know, it's one of those. It's, at least for me, I have a harder time. I just want to encourage you tonight to tell stories. You
Right.
know, I think of it like around, you know, when you get together with family, you know, I mean, what happens? You know, I can't tell you how many stories of my brother and I growing up, you know, that we teased my mom with and told them over and over and over and over and over again. You get to family stuff, and you tell these great stories and you relive moments. And so having your backstory really set in your mind, where they're just stories from life. And so taking some of those great stories of you and your brother getting in a fight or something or whatever, right? Conflict is another great thing for stories. And then turn it into a Santa story, you know?
But you just basically made the key words right here is the perception, or not perception, but the process for actually learning a story. When you actually find a story you like, whether it's like one of my favorite stories you tell is your dog that got sprayed by the skunk.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you Christmas-fied it,
Yeah.
and it was wonderful. But here are some of the elements that you may be able to think about when you're trying to locate a story. And before I go into, Santa Doug has a great thing. He is going to have Gordon, which I believe is his elf, take the colors from the minds of the children and put them in the coloring book. And then he will ring the bell when it's done.
Oh, nice variation.
And again, Doug, that's wonderful, because you're taking a story that's got the same speaking elements, but you're putting your own unique twist on it, and you're incorporating other things to layer upon the story itself. And this is basically, as I said, if you just memorize it, you're going to only do it one way, but you'll actually feel the story, and now you can actually have fun and play.
Yeah, one of the things that I love to do scripted when I'm telling a story, you know, especially in Michigan, the weather was horrible. It was one of those nights that you knew the next day you would be off of school. There would be no school. There was so much snow. And so literally pulling in something that they can grab. Oh, no school, snow day, you know, so then that way there's a frame there that they can pull it out. So associating it, making it your own, you know.
Well, and again, these are some of the elements that you can actually end up utilizing here. Is like, don't memorize, internalize. And what I mean by that is simply this: is instead of just knowing a story, many Christmas performers know 'twas the night before Christmas. They has, I'm so proud, I have it memorized, I can say it really quickly, I can say it really slowly. But Do you really feel the story, or are you just basically parroting the words?
Yeah.
And number two is when you do find a story, read the story out loud several times. Become familiar with the story. And then you break it into sections, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then when you have that down, retell it in your own words.
Yeah.
And this is the important part to each and every person that's joining us, either live or in the future here, is by becoming a storyteller, you're becoming a performance-based Santa or a performance-based Christmas performer. These are where your improvisational skills, your performance skills will actually end up being used. And by using them for this, they're going to become stronger. You're going to become more quicker on responses. You'll be able to pick up on different things from the crowd and from your clients. And when it's finally all done and you've actually retold it in your own words, practice out loud. Storytelling is not something that you can just sit here and just work it to yourself, work it by yourself. You need to actually tell your stories in front of other people in order to basically garner their responses. Is this line funny? Is this line working? Is it too long? Is it too short? Do I need to add more color into it, or do I need to actually pull things away?
Right. Well, let's run our dad jokes. Talking about.
Oh yes,
All right.
we
Here we
have
go.
wonderful dad jokes. All right.
When does a joke become a dad joke? When it's a parrot.
Thank you, Santa Kevin.
Gosh.
And we
was
would love
good.
for you to send us. I've got some dad jokes this week. I was so geeked about it. And so please, if you have a good dad joke that you would send to us, if you would, here it is. We'll put it in. Please send your dad jokes to kringlebrothers2@gmail.com. Your phone, if you would, take it from vertical to horizontal and film it this way, if you would. It makes editing and putting it together a little bit easier for me, and I appreciate that very much.
Now, while we're talking about this, Mike Connor actually comes up with a good point, and I know you do this, Michael. Do you ever add music to your storytelling or just your story reading?
Yes, I do. And it changes, that changes big time. The music helps slow me down. Without music, I have to constantly tell myself, in fact, even in my Showtime table, I'll put note cards in there, slow down, because I get so hyper, but music has a way of adding to it, but I would work on the skills first. You should be like any with even the things with props, right? I need to be able to tell the story, and then I can add the prop, to make it better. I don't, because I think the tendency is if you're not feeling strong in your story, then you're relying on the prop to communicate. And the prop doesn't do that. The prop enhances your communication. It's not the center of it. You're still the center of speaking the story and what's going on. The prop supports you. You don't support the prop.
Exactly. And Mike also touches on and I don't mean Santa Michael, but I mean Mike Connor here. There's so many Michaels. God, it was a popular name in the 50s.
It's a popular Santa name, Mike.
It is too. That's why when we say Michael, that's why I'm Herbie, because there's too many Michaels to go around. But there is a difference between storytelling and story reading. And the main difference is simply this. If you are story reading, the information or the words in the book that you're reading is being dictated to you. You are following word by word and going from there. Whereas with storytelling, you're able to change, interpret, improvise, entertain. Now, there's
location,
right.
the setting, and
Now,
what's going on to meet your audience's need, because that's the best thing in a story. Is it's the one that connects with your audience. So in other words, if I'm talking about having a snow day and I'm in Arizona, it may not go over really well.
Okay, and again, Charlie mentions that if you want to add music to storytelling, you can get free, royalty-free music at pixabay.com. Also has images, sound effects. I think that's what he meant to type, but whoa, Charlie's spelling is way off on that one. And videos can search for by keyword.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah. In fact, we got to have Charlie on sometime, talk about sound equipment and that kind of stuff.
Oh
Because
yeah,
he's
that would be awesome. We have to bring our associate producer on all the time, anytime. Anytime you want to come on, Charlie, let us know.
So
Now the next thing is
before our next thing, why don't we go ahead, and I'm looking at timing wise, why don't we do our trivia question?
you want to do trivia? All right, well then let me get over here and then we can go
just
ahead.
A second. We'll run our thanks to our providers of the trivia gift, and
Sure.
then we'll read the question. Here we go.
Since its founding in 2004, Santa's Closet has been committed to providing unique, high-quality accessories for Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the entire Claus community. Our mission is to deliver exceptional customer service and outstanding value, offering competitive pricing and a wide selection of products designed to enrich the Claus experience.
Woohoo! Thank you,
guess,
Wade, Charlotte.
guess who's here? Guess who's here?
Who?
Kimberly Wagner's here. It's Sister Claus live.
She made it. Hello, Wimberly. I love you, my Sister Claus. She's awesome.
So everybody just look into the chat, look for Kimberly, and there it is. There's Sister Claus.
Yes, I call her, my name for her is Wimberly because when I was little, I had a hard time with K's, and K's came out with W's, so it was Wimberly.
Wimberly. I love it.
All right, back to
this. Okay. Our trivia question.
Was it 35 days, 65 days?
65 days. So, unfortunately, next week's show will actually, the 29th of April, will bring the very first winner out of timeout. And that would be Bruce. So he'll be eligible after the 29th. So, all right. So for today's trivia question, do you want to reveal it, Michael? Or you want me to do it?
I'll reveal it. You read it. Here we go.
All right. Ready? What Christmas dessert was popular among British seamen during the 19th century? Again, what Christmas dessert was popular among British seamen during the 19th century?
See, have you ever had that sea foam stuff where it's all airy? You ever?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Have you ever had that?
Yeah. Kimberly says, "Yay, you saw me, Wimberly Claus." Oh nope, Ken, that's not right. It's not fruitcake. Nope, Charlie, not fruitcake.
But I do like fruitcake. Good fruitcake.
Oh, you're
that I had was when I was in Germany.
No, no wonder Mom likes you. Well, you know what?
It's not exactly because it's not. We're having
not a plum. It's not plum. And no, Kim, it's not fish tacos either. Oh, Santa Kevin got it. I just saw it come across. Santa Kevin, yes. The answer is. That's your cue, Michael. The answer is.
Well, I was trying to see Kevin's answer and I didn't see it come through.
Santa Kevin at 8:42 came across with.
Here we go.
With figgy pudding.
In other words, figgy pudding is different than plum pudding.
Yes, it is. Oh, what did I do here?
What happened to your lights in the room?
I don't know. Whoa, craziness. I just hit the wrong button or something.
Did you pay your electric bill?
It did it again. It must be. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Let's get out of there. All right, Santa Kevin, I'm going to make a note for you. Santa Kevin.
So, Kevin, if you would, please send us your name. Well, we forgot about Canada. Hopefully that's not Canada, Kevin, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Now, just remember, we can't. Yes, there you go. Please send us your email your name, your address, and your shirt size to kringlebrothers2@gmail.com.
And then we will forward that to Wade, and they will get it on. But yeah, unfortunately we can't send to Canada. So if you have a US post office box or something, or if you're planning on coming, like if you're in Canada and you're planning on coming to the Saginaw, we could hold it for you and give it to you at the Red Suit Conclave. Or if you're coming to the Jingle Joy retreat, we could give it to you there. Right? Are you there? Did I lose you, Herbie?
Yes, I am. No, there was something that was on there. And basically, the difference between figgy and plum pudding is simply figgy pudding is made with figs and plum pudding is made with plums. It's essentially the same thing. However, the key ingredient is different. You have one made out of figs and one made out of plums.
Oh, my sister saw the T-shirt.
What? There's
Kringle Brother T-shirt.
Well, we can actually we'll work on that for you, Sister Claus, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Yes. So, all right, here, let me shut that off. So, that was fun. Thank you, Santa's Closet, for
yes, thank you, Santa's Closet, for all the amazing things that you've done and will do. That's wonderful. So, well, Santa Kevin's putting it all on there right now.
Awesome.
So it's okay. It's in the chat.
Right, different Kevin. All right, very good. I feel good. In fact, the Kevin, that was our dad joke, Kevin.
Our dad joke, Kevin. So we know who it is now. All right. So going back to storytelling, as with anything that we do as a Claus performer, whether your improv skills, your story of your character development, or any aspect of your character, you have to practice because practice makes the magic. Yeah. Now, with storytelling, it's kind of different than your other skills that you could practice on because you actually need feedback. Now, you can always rehearse these like in the shower, on your commute, while you're folding laundry, or with a friend or pet. Now, I can't tell you how many times my dogs have actually heard my stories. However, storytelling is a community event, and how you can actually, as much as you can practice in person, will benefit your storytelling. Now, in John Walsh's book, The Art of Storytelling, one of the items that he does make reference to is creating a storytelling group that you could bring like-minded individuals together in one group. And with the power of Zoom and different computer elements, you can do this online.
Yeah, I would even encourage this, like what we did. You know, I mean, find 2 or 3 other guys or ladies, you know, performers, and get John Walsh's book, and then just do a book review, and then read a couple chapters, you know, and then discuss it. And then, because he gives you things to practice in here, and you literally can practice with one another, you know, that's one of the things that I love about this book too.
And you know what, Michael? I mean, we have to check our schedules and see what's going on with, as of right now, life always is getting in the way of all the fun stuff. But maybe we can actually look at maybe putting together a Zoom session or something like this and just inviting people to come on, limit it to about 20 people or something.
Maybe in August.
Maybe in August. Yeah. Maybe following. Well, in August, we're supposed to be we have our Red Suit Conclave the first weekend in August. And then the following weekend, we're supposed to be going to Nashville. Well, so you're looking at the third week in August at most.
Maybe.
But when we did this before, it was like 5 weeks that we did this, huh?
We could have to condense it because I don't think we'd have. Yeah.
That would take us almost all the way into Charles Howard and through the month of September. So.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to talk about this. But what we want to do is maybe take. What do you think, Michael? Maybe next week we can actually start going over John Walsh's book and just kind of highlighting different areas and stuff, and not try to go too in depth, but just kind of cover the different basics and stuff like that. Does that sound good, or do you have other plans for next week?
Well, it's one of those. It's flexible. Okay, what do they call it in Pirates of the Caribbean? It's parlay, right? It's just
Right.
it's just kind of a guideline. I mean, one of the things too that I would like is you guys. I'd love to do a Q&A session where we'll have maybe 4 more guys with us, so we'll have 6 of us sitting here, and bring them on, and then if you send us questions that you might have about storytelling, props, or anything that we've talked about so far. If you have a question, and then we'll have other guys come on with us too, and then we'll do a Q&A panel kind of thing, and then just try to answer some of those questions, and then comments that come live from the night too. We can have that, and because I know that I get more information out of listening. So in other words, listening to Mike and Sal and, Erica and Roger and different people that, just asking questions and listening to them, I glean from that so much.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to put it out there that let's encourage our followers? And remember, you can always follow us at
us on Facebook.
Or subscribe to us on YouTube.
Please subscribe on the YouTube channel. That would be great. Because that's
you can also
stationed there.
Or you can also email us your questions. And if we actually get enough questions to come in for next week, maybe we'll put together a panel. We'll invite a few more Claus community members,
performers with us, and that would be great.
Performers,
so
and then this way.
And KringleBrothers2@gmail.com. And then if you'd like to be on the panel, I'll knock on wood. If you send us the email saying, hey, I would love that opportunity. And I can't guarantee that it'll happen, depending on how many come on. And I have to look at our license too from StreamYard and how many people that we can have at one time too. So, but whatever, I would love for, some people to come on, and we can do some Q&A together and learn from each other.
If you don't get your questions in prior to the show, we will be taking questions live as well. Now, looking at some of the comments here, yes, Boris, we do have some of the T-shirts. Michael is modeling. Okay, Michael, walk the catwalk for me. There you go. Strike a pose. Strike a pose. Strike a pose. All right. We are working on actually getting these made, design, and we'll let you know when. Yeah, there you go. We'll let you know when they could be available. Thank you, Sister Claus. I've been trying to grow a beard after you ever said I was not a real one because I didn't have a real beard. But I love you so much, so it doesn't bother me. And yes, Board says Vogue, Michael, Vogue. Bruce Nord said he'd love to be a panelist.
Oh, very good.
And then Ken says, I believe that CPW Storytelling Workshop will be in Medina, Ohio on August 16th and 17th, maybe tied into an after workshop homework session. That's very good. Right. And Ken, Michael and I both attended the CPW Storytelling Workshop. I believe that's
we did number 1 and number 2. And awesome.
Number 1 and number 2. And I do know that True is working to revise session 3, and he'll be offering that, I believe, down in Kentucky, maybe in the latter part of July, or is it August as well? I'm not quite sure. But yes, if you get an opportunity, True is a remarkable storyteller, and he has so many different variations of stories that he could tell. One of the best ones I enjoy him telling is about Kitty Cat the polar bear. It's always a fun one to listen to. But again, with the different story, as with Christmas performers, each one has a particular style that they're better at. True is considered a traditional storyteller, whereas Steve Gillum can be considered a master storyteller, a traditional storyteller as well. But the difference is True ends up getting a lot of his research done through research at the libraries, folk tales, and his community of storytellers. A lot of the stories that Steve Gillum utilizes are either borrowed from other successful storytellers or original stories itself. Yep. Deborah, yep, Santa True with his deck of cards. They're amazing. If you have not got your
Good
deck of
crack.
cards,
Kringle.
attend a CPW workshop. I have CPW Cincinnati in June. Thank you, Kathy. And Mike Connor posted as well. CPW is next weekend in the Philly, New Jersey area, and they still have a couple seats open. So if you're in the
That'd be
Philly,
awesome.
New Jersey area and you do have an opportunity, I highly recommend you spend a couple days with True. You will not be disappointed. He will make you work. It is a interactive class, wouldn't you say? And then
Yep.
if you always want, you can always ask him what he thought when he asked Michael and I to go nuclear during the class.
Oh, yeah, he knew we were going to go nuclear.
Yeah, well, he gave us permission to. So
Yeah.
at this time, does anybody have any questions on this? I mean, again, to kind of wrap things up, here in my
I can't
area, you
believe
mentioned-
that our time's here already.
I know. Yes, Boris. Yep. And when you start talking about the Hispanic tradition and folklore, yeah, Lola Lauren is a really good story as well too. Isn't that the ghost story? I think it is the ghost story. And yes, you end up getting storytelling. Think of this: storytelling is a way to perpetuate. Look at me using big words again. Perpetuate. Mark that one down.
You
But to
you won't be. You can't tease me about using my words anymore. Then
no, I can't because I've been throwing out some big ones there too. But storytelling is a way to. Yeah, it's a really good ghost story to tell. They've actually put it into a movie that was somewhat disturbing, but I enjoyed it. But what I'm trying to get to is storytelling is a way to perpetuate our cultures. And as we are a giant melting pot of individuals, we bring with us stories that come from all over the world. For instance, I believe the Christmas spider is actually a German folktale. When you look at like the Nativity, I mean, telling the story of the birth of Jesus is an amazing story in itself. When you look at the different things that was going around in New York when in the 1800s, when Christmas first came about, was truly a interesting aspect as well. So does anybody have any questions as we get ready to close out the show here? Michael looks like he's getting bored, so I have to keep him activated.
No, I just want to make sure, you know, I mean, my mind's going, you know, as we talk, I'm hoping that we've encouraged people that you can do this, you know, of all the different things that we've made points about telling stories. It's so important. You know, you are that storyteller to bridge this world of make-believe to make it reality, you know, and you are the ones just to be able to be you and be magical. And each one of you can. You just practice and share. There's no right or wrong. Just give it a shot and try, you know. And that's I just want to make sure that we're getting that across. Just practice and try, you know.
One of the greatest things Michael loves to talk about is the power of vulnerability and why it's so important in our art form to basically realize that being vulnerable is not a bad thing. It's going to make you a stronger performer. And that's what the most important thing is it's okay to wear your heart on your sleeve because you want to be truthful. You want to be honest in your portrayal as a Claus. Oh, Joseph Cunningham said, is there a collection of stories available anywhere or just learn through relationships? Joseph, that's a very good question. One of the best places. Go ahead, Michael.
No, I was just going to say one of the best places is your library. You know, go talk to your librarian. And because what happens is remember, we Santaize things, right? Mm-hmm. We make them Christmas. So you could literally go in and get old folk you know, old stories, right?
That's
and
Michael's impersonation of the Swedish chef from the Muppet Show.
Oh, Yeah, yeah. I never thought about him laughing like Santa.
Oh yeah.
All right, never mind. That was a random thought that came out of nowhere. But you can all of those stories, and there's tons of public domain stories that you
Mhm.
can read and then adapt. The whole is adapt them to be in Christmas, or work on writing your own. I
Right.
love telling stories of things that happened to me, like my dog. Right, had dog Happy that, oh my gosh, he was always getting into trouble and skunks and that whole nine yards. So I changed him into my dog CD. I called him Christmas, card, and so so I tell stories about my dog, but I just make it into Christmas, and kids love those things, right?
So, yes, Joseph, there's stories all over the place. If you actually look at getting some of the books that we recommended, like The Art of Storytelling by John Walsh, or even the Storyteller's Startup book by Margaret Reed McDonald, there are some examples of stories that are in there. If you are a fan of Barry Mitchell once had a book on his website that you could purchase. It was called Once Upon a Time, that was filled with various stories that you could morph into Christmas or Santa stories.
Take
So
Stephen
again,
Gillen's class in Santaology, the
yeah.
driver, and you'll get tons of stories from there too.
Now, as we mentioned too, when it does come to Santaology, I spoke to Steve Gillen when we were in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and him and his lovely bride Deb will be teaching Santaology again this summer. So if you want to, go to santaandthedriver.com
Welcome.
and sign up so you can actually get notifications when they're going to get ready to start the enrollment process for those classes. He only usually allows anywhere between 20 to 25 people a session. And so you want to make sure that you get there quick and you sign up quick as well, but you won't regret it as well. You'll end up getting what I figure if you do Santaology 1, you'll end up getting at least 10 to 12 different stories.
Oh, you'll get all the reindeer. So there's
Right,
9
which is
there.
9 stories.
I think
You
Mother
get
of All
Fairy
Diamonds
Dust.
is in the first one.
Yes, Mother All Diamonds.
There's a good group of stories to get started with. Yeah.
The White Feather story. Why does Santa put bells on the sleigh? So yes, you'll get a lot. And again, thank you so much. Again, CPW with Santa True in Philly and South Jersey, May 2nd through the 4th, 2025. You can actually go to T as in Tango, S as in Santa, the number 2, C as in Charlie.us. So again, with that, you know what? I just want to send out a quick thanks to our TNL production network, Bob, Scott, Spangle, and Angela.
All of them, and our wives, our lovely wives.
And of course, one of our new subscribers, our sister Claus, Kimmy.
She's finally your wife.
And of course, again, we love to thank each and every one of you, because without you, we would not be able to do this, and we would be doing it, but just for our own entertainment. So this is wonderful.
So great.
And what do you have left to say,
everybody? Well, I was going to say this: blessings, everybody, and may your life be filled with encouragement, laughter, and fellowship.
And may you find the magic in every smile that you inspire, and always live with a heart full of Christmas.
Thanks, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Good night.
I'm still laughing over the bump bump. I don't know why I was having video problems tonight.
I don't know. It just shows that we just keeping it real. But everybody's starting to catch on because they're all staying on.
They're staying on. So, well, thanks everybody to the after party. Now there's the politician, there's a police officer, Santa, and 3 elves. They
And what do
all they go walking into a bar together, right?
and you know what they're making? Well, you know what makes them all special?
Do you know what they all have in common?
They're all wearing Boston Scally hats.
Oh, you know what? I sent them my idea for what I called the claws today. You know what I mean? We'll see if that comes out. That would be kind of fun. But what do all my joke? Let's back to my joke. What do they all have in common? They watch Kringle Time.
Yay! Or in the word,
All right.
or just one more time before we leave, Michael. Laugh as the Swedish chef would laugh as Santa. Good night, everybody.
Everybody. Bye-bye.